Hello, Professor Sargent here with you again. I only have one example to go over from this section. We've been looking at the 5-number summary, and just before that, we were looking at measures of dispersion. There is an example here that is rather lengthy that we want the help of technology to get through it. So let's see here. I've already started this. I wanted to make sure that we had a situation where StatCrunch was finding the quartiles correctly, and it does. There are many data points, so it wouldn't be too fun to use the TI-84 for this. So I want to show you how I came up with this stuff. We have information about all earthquakes in a particular region over the course of a week. We have measurements on depth and on magnitude. Now, although this is expressed in 3 different columns, let me make sure you can see that. Looks like you still can. Okay. Depth and magnitude here, depth and magnitude here, depth and magnitude here, and actually a 4th column, depth and magnitude. Okay. Well, when you click on See Full Data Set, you can open that up in StatCrunch, which I've already done, and we are asked to come up with a mean. Notice how they're using mu. That's because it's the population of all earthquakes in that week. And then further down, we've got the lowercase Greek sigma for the population standard deviation. So mean, median, range, standard deviation, quartile 1, and quartile 3. Let me show you what I have on StatCrunch that led to come up with this answer. So I'm going to close up that result there for a moment. It's going to store it up there. I went to Stat, Summary Stats. So again, although they've got things in 4 columns, there are 2 variables, the depth and the magnitude, which now when open up in StatCrunch, it's showing us each one of those in a single column. Apparently there were 25 per column for a total of 100 measurements on depth, 100 measurements on magnitude. And when I went to Summary Stats, columns, I selected to compute for both. We wanted mean, then median. I'm pressing the control button when I select median so that it shows both. Then we wanted, I believe it was range next. Yes, range was next. Control with that. Then we wanted the standard deviation of the population. That choice, if you notice, we've got standard deviation up here and unadjusted standard deviation down here. Unadjusted means you don't subtract 1 from the number of scores before you divide by it. So the 1 up above is for sample standard deviation. Finally, we also wanted quartile 1 and quartile 3. So scroll it. Whoop, darn, I lost all that. Mean, median, range. Yeah. Mean. Control button, median. Control button, range. Control button, unadjusted standard deviation. Control button for quartile 1. Control button for quartile 3. Tell it to compute. And there you can see the values that I was typing in. However, one thing you need to notice is that we wanted things rounded to 2 decimal places. And so the mean was rounded to 25.98. The median to 7.13. The range doesn't need any rounding. The 7's going to round up that to 0, but then that's going to round this up to 8, 2.56, and 16.24. You can see that all right there. So let's see here. Then we're supposed to do the same for the magnitude. So we've got 1.62 when we round for the mean. The median is going to round to, no rounding needed, 1.29. Range, excuse me, 6.56, no rounding needed. The standard deviation for the population, i.e. unadjusted, rounds to 1.26. And then quartiles 1 and 3, we've got 0.87 and then 1.84 when we round. 0.87 and 1.84. That was for the magnitude that when we open up in StatCrunch was in the second column. Let's see here. Magnitude 1.62, 1.29, 6.56, 1.26. 0.87, 1.84. Okay, give me a moment and see if I can figure out what happened. Oh, 3 decimal places on this one instead of 2. Lovely. All right, so 1.623. Nothing needed there. Range. Nothing needed there. This is going to round down to 1.255. Quartile 1, nothing needed there, and nothing needed on the next one, so 1.835. There we go. Conjecture the shape of the distribution for depth. The mean is greater than the median, so it should be skewed right. It's larger than the median, so skewed right. For the magnitude, the mean is still bigger than the median. And so, let's see what else. From quartile 1 to the mean, to the median. That is 0.13. Quartile 1 is 0.42 units away. If we add 0.42 to move towards quartile 3, we'd get 1.71. This is quartile 3 is further away. So between the mean being larger than the median and that quartile 3 is further away from the median than is quartile 1, suggests it's skewed right. Now, relatively speaking, this versus this, that was a big difference. Here, not as big of a difference. So they might be thinking, oh, it's close. And so maybe it's approximately symmetric. But let's see what's happening with my choice of D. They agree. Draw relative frequency histogram. Label the median and the mean. Okay, well, if we have skewed right, then it seemed to me it's choice A or D. But if we go back to StatCrunch, graph, histogram. See if we can get it to show both. So to get both to show up there, I was holding down the control button. I'm going to press compute here. Oh, okay, I think I was getting something reversed. That's for depth. Okay, I was getting my left and right confused there. Since we have skewed right, we should see the bulk of the data on the left, and then either this or this type of thing in either B or C. And the depth, it's looking more like what we have in choice B. They're showing us the mean and the median there. Now they want one for the magnitude. See if I can get that to show up. Since I chose both. There we go. That's also skewed right, but we've got more stuff filled in for magnitude. And so it's looking more like choice B here. Whereas this looks more like what we had for the depth. The skewness is, well, we had the bigger difference for depth. And then when we look at these two histograms, for depth, got so much more over here, and then it's rarely seeing something for higher scores and then stretch really right. Whereas here, for the magnitude, you're looking over a wider range, so to speak, for the bulk of things on the left, and it's less spotty, but still stretching to the right. And so I think they're looking for choice A. They are both skewed right, but we're seeing it more with the depth. And now a box plot for both of them. Okay, here we go. We can get the 5-number summaries for both of those variables by choosing min, then quartile 1 with your one finger holding down the control button, the median, quartile 3, and the maximum in that order. And again, with each new one I selected, just before I clicked the mouse, I pressed the control button. So there are our 5-number summaries for each. But I would not be surprised if after looking at that, we can probably, there we go, get box plots. We're seeing them both at once. Some really weird stuff showing there, though. Huh. Let's try looking one at a time. So for the depth, that's the one that they are asking about first. And we should be seeing something skewed right, which would be more along the lines of B or D. And if we tilt our head, then it's looking more like choice B. Notice what look like some X's there. I think they're suggesting where the outliers are. For magnitude, let's see here. We've got some stuff past this, but they're closer than what we had for depth. So it's looking more like choice D on this one. And with all those things past that whisker, actually the whisker really keeps going. So this is an unusual way of showing outliers from what I'm used to, but both of them were seeing outliers. Determine the lower and upper fences. Okay. So going back, our interquartile range for the first one, let me bring up a calculator here. For depth, we would have 2.555. It's not typing for me. 2.555 minus 1.5 times the interquartile range, which is Q3 minus Q1. You can see right here what's been typed in. We're getting negative 17.965 for a lower fence. They want that rounded to 2 decimal places, so that's going to go to negative 17.97. Whereas for the upper fence, we start at quartile 3, 16.235, and add. So 16.235 plus 1.5 times the interquartile range, Q3 minus Q1 in the parentheses. Rounding that to 2 places, we're getting 36.76. And before we answer for magnitude, we can see some depths like here and here, just spot checking that real quick, that are larger. Now for the magnitude, we're going to be adding, start at quartile 1. So 0.87, that's on the left, and you go further left by subtracting, minus 1.5 times the interquartile range, Q3 minus Q1. There's our lower fence, and they want that rounded to 3 decimal places. So that's going to round to negative 0.578. And then the upper fence, we're going to start at 1.835. That's on the right, and we move further right by adding the same amount, 1.5 times the interquartile range, So Q3 minus Q1, 0.87. And we're getting 3.2825, which when rounded would be 3.283 when we go 3 places. 3.283. And that's it. That's all I have for now. I hope this has helped. If so, please like, subscribe, and share. I'll see you soon, and stay safe and healthy in the meantime.